gbasara ndọrọndọrọ ọchịchị, egwu ma ọ bụ ihe na-eme na Nigeria ma ọ bụ ihe na-eme na mba ofesi, omenani, mgbasa ozi. Ihe ndị a niile dị na Radio Afinju. N'eziokwu, Radio Afinju bụ nke izizi na radio stations na Osun State. Radio Afinju bụ amaala n'ịgbasa ozi.
Idan kana neman labarin da ya cika, maganan siyasa,
akwai lokacin da sai kawo telecommunication,
wakokin zamani na kasa da na kasan waje, al'ada. Idan kana so ka tsaya ko ka tsaya, duka zaka samu a Radio Afinju. Kwarai da gaske, Radio Afinju ne shugaban radio a nan Osogbo, Osun State. Radio Afinju, in tsarin yana da labari mai.
Wherever you're listening or watching Radio Afinju, the time is 3 p.m.
Ẹ bá mi pè o, Afinju, kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Afinju, rédíò Afinju, gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ Afinju, gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ Afinju, lórí WhatsApp Afinju, Instagram Afinju, Facebook Afinju, lórí X Afinju, lórí YouTube Afinju, lórí TikTok Afinju, kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Afinju, ẹ bá mi pè o, Afinju, rédíò Afinju, gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ 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 Afinju, rédíò Afinju, rédíò Afinju, rédíò Afinju.
Stay informed with news on Radio Afinju.
First, a look at highlights. Serap sues Tinubu governors over cybercrime law abuse. Sudanese army enters strategic city held by RSF rebel group for over a year. Trump prosecutor Jack Smith resigns from Justice Department. Good afternoon and welcome to the World News on Radio Afinju. My name is Pearl Durotoye. The news in detail. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has filed a lawsuit against the federal government and the 36 states challenging the Cybercrimes Amendment Act 2024. SERAP argues that the government's use of this law to criminalize legitimate expression violates Nigerians' human rights, particularly those of activists, journalists, bloggers, and social media users. The lawsuit, filed at the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice in Abuja, claims that the Act's provisions are overly broad, arbitrary, and repressive, allowing authorities to target individuals for exercising their right to free speech. SERAP is concerned that the law's vagueness, particularly in sections like causing a breakdown of law and order, could lead to the punishment of peaceful and legitimate expression. The group has cited several instances where the amended act has allegedly been misused, including cases involving activist Dele Farotimi, journalist Agba Jalingo, and social media users Chioma Okoli and Funke Adeoye. The organization argues that these cases demonstrate how the law is being used to stifle factual reporting and create a chilling effect on free speech. They emphasize that freedom of expression is a fundamental human right and essential to developing democracy, urging the government to refrain from interfering with human rights and instead facilitate and protect them. former senior special assistant to former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo on media and publicity, Laolu Akonde, says rotational presidency has come to stay in the country, stressing that it will be difficult to terminate Southern presidency in 2027. Akonde stated this during an interview in Lagos. Akonde, while describing political major talks and plots to return power to the north in 2027 as child's play, said that such plans were not going to work. He called on Nigerians to unite against common challenges, reiterating that politicians were those benefiting from the system. According to him, Nigerians ahead of the 2027 elections must have discussions around national consensus on the rule of law, fighting poverty and corruption, issues of local government autonomy, restructuring, and the constitution. Ondo State Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa has pardoned 40 prison inmates. This, the governor said, is to demonstrate his administration's commitment to justice reform and reintegrating convicts into society. According to the state's Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Olukayode Ajulo, SAN, the pardon highlights the governor's dedication to mercy and rehabilitation. The pardons granted on the recommendation of the Advisory Council of the Prerogative of Mercy include the outright release of 15 convicts effective today. In addition to the releases, several death sentences were commuted to life imprisonment, while other inmates had their sentences significantly reduced. Ajulo, who also chairs the Advisory Council, explained that these decisions were informed by careful deliberations considering the nature of offences, the inmates' age, health, behaviour and duration of incarceration. Nigeria's military personnel are now expressly prohibited from engaging in homosexuality, lesbianism, bestiality, cross-dressing, and other acts deemed contrary to the ethics of the armed forces. They are equally barred from body piercing, tattooing, disorderly behavior, and drunkenness on or off duty. This directive is contained in Section 26 of the revised Harmonized Armed Forces Terms and Conditions of Service signed by President Bola Tinubu on December 16, 2024. The condition of service also forbids the involvement of officers in amorous relationships with subordinates or their spouses, among others. The punishments or disciplinary measures against any personnel who violates the rule were, however, not stated. In the meantime, the Nigerian Air Force airstrikes mistakenly hit operatives of the Zamfara State Community Protection Guard, ZSCPG, vigilantes and some residents of Tunga Kara community in Maradun local government area, Zamfara State, following a raid by bandits in the area. Reports say that the incident, which claimed at least 20 lives, occurred shortly after the bandits fled the scene on Saturday. It was also learned that local vigilantes and residents who had mobilized to defend their community were caught in the strike. So far, 16 bodies have been retrieved, with the final death toll still uncertain as rescue efforts continue. The airstrike, intended to target the fleeing bandits, instead devastated the community, leaving behind a trail of grief and unanswered questions. Residents of Tungar Kara are now calling for investigation into the tragic error and for support to be provided to the affected families. Away from Nigeria, Sudan's army said it had entered the central city of Wad Madani and was pushing out its paramilitary rivals, the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, a step which, if completed successfully, would be its biggest gain in nearly 2 years of war. The army posted a video appearing to show troops inside the city, which is the capital of El Gezira State, an agricultural and trading hub that has been held by the RSF since December 2023. The state, located in the center of the country and south of the capital, Khartoum, has seen some of the RSF's bloodiest attacks on civilians, as well as the burning of fields, looting of hospitals and markets, and flooding of irrigation ditches. Despite a long history as an agricultural trade hub, Badani has been marked by experts as an area at risk of famine due to the blockades imposed as part of the conflict. In Asia, South Korea's impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol will not attend the first hearing of the trial to determine whether he is removed from office or reinstated due to concerns about his safety. Reports citing his lawyer said the Constitutional Court hearing is scheduled for Tuesday. The anti-graft office plans a second attempt to arrest Yoon in a criminal probe over his failed attempt to impose martial law in early December. Recall an arrest effort on January 3 failed after a 6-hour standoff with security personnel at Yoon's fortified compound in central Seoul. The president's move to impose martial law plunged South Korea into its biggest political crisis in decades and hit growth expectations for Asia's fourth largest economy. Malaysia Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has said the government did not conceal any document relating to jailed former Premier Najib Razak's home detention. Najib, imprisoned for his role in the country's biggest scandal, has been pursuing a legal bid to compel the government to confirm the existence of and execute an addendum order that he said was issued by the former king alongside a pardon he received last year, entitling him to serve the remainder of his jail term at home. The former premier has had his 12-year sentence halved in a pardon by then-King Al Sultan Shah, who was chair of a special pardons board. Al Sultan's 5-year reign under Malaysia's unique system of rotating monarchy ended in January 2024. Najib and the former King's Palace said the documents exist, with Najib's legal team saying it has been ignored by authorities. Anwar said the document was sent to the Attorney General and not to him nor any other member of the Pardons Board. In Europe, emergency services said earlier today that 6 people died when a propane-butane cylinder exploded at a restaurant in the northwest Czech city of Most, setting the building on fire. The Czech Fire Rescue Service said on X social media platform, 8 people were injured in the fiery blast that occurred late on Saturday evening, and 30 people were evacuated from the restaurant and surrounding buildings. Interior Minister Vít Rakusan told reporters the cause was likely a propane-butane heater overturning in the restaurant's front garden. The fire brigade said it had rescued one seriously injured restaurant guest who had been trapped in a bathroom. It was reported that around 20 guests were in the restaurant at the time of the explosion. Croatians are voting in a presidential runoff election, with opinion polls giving incumbent Zoran Milanovic a lead over Dragan Primorac, the ruling party's challenger for the largely ceremonial position. Sources said around 3.8 million people in the NATO and European Union member are eligible to vote in Sunday's second round. In the first round held weeks ago, Milanovic of the Social Democratic Party came first with 49.1% support, with Primorac, who represents the ruling Croatia's Democratic Union, in second place on 19.35%. During his term, Milanovic, a populist former prime minister, has confronted Prime Minister Andrej Plenković over foreign and public policies, with the two frequently trading insults. In the Americas, U.S. Special Counsel Jack Smith, who led the federal cases against Donald Trump on charges of trying to overturn his 2020 election defeat and mishandling of classified documents, has resigned as the Republican president-elect prepared to return to the White House. Smith resigned from the Department of Justice, according to a court filing to U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon, asking her to lift a court order she issued blocking release of his final report. Notice of Smith's resignation came in a footnote in the filing, which said the special counsel had completed his work, submitted his final confidential report on January 7, and separated from the Justice Department on January 10. Firefighters are making an all-out assault to prevent the largest of the deadly wildfires that is threatening Los Angeles from spreading into one of the city's most exclusive neighborhoods. Aerial crews have been bombarding the flaming hills with water and fire retardant to hold back the Palisades fire, which has expanded an additional 1,000 acres and is now menacing Brentwood. Winds are expected to pick up again overnight, further fanning the flames that have left at least 16 people dead. The LA County Coroner's Office had on Saturday announced that 11 of the deaths were attributed to the Eaton fire and 5 to the Palisades fire. The conflagration has spread into the Mandeville Canyon neighborhood, sparking evacuation orders for swaths of Brentwood, a ritzy enclave where Arnold Schwarzenegger, Disney chief executive Bob Iger, and NBA star LeBron James have homes. In the Middle East, foreign ministers and top diplomats from Western and Middle Eastern countries are meeting Syria's new foreign minister in the Saudi capital, Riyadh, at the first such regional meeting on Syria since President Bashar al-Assad was ousted last month. German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock arrived in Riyadh in the morning ahead of the meeting with Syrian Foreign Minister Assad al-Shibani. British Foreign Minister David Lammy was also expected to join the talks, according to a statement issued by the UK Foreign Office. It was gathered that foreign ministers from Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, and Turkey were all in Riyadh for today's meeting, plus envoys from the European Union and the United States. Other top Arab and Western officials are expected to attend. The meeting is the first to include both Syria's new rulers and top Western officials and will be led by Saudi Arabia. Now talking sports, Arsenal will don an all-white kit in today's FA Cup third round match against Man United as part of the club's ongoing No More Red campaign. The initiative, in partnership with kit manufacturer Adidas, is to raise awareness around youth violence and highlight efforts to keep children safe in North London. As part of the annual campaign, Arsenal wears this special strip for one game each January, underscoring the club's commitment to its community. Before we go, here again are the highlights. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has filed a lawsuit against the federal government and the 36 states over the Cybercrimes Amendment Act 2024. Elsewhere, Sudan's army said it had entered the central city of Wad Madani and was pushing out its paramilitary rivals, the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, a step which, if completed successfully, would be its biggest gain in near 2 years of war. In the Americas, U.S. Special Counsel Jack Smith, who led the federal cases against Donald Trump on charges of trying to overturn his 2020 election defeat and mishandling of classified documents, has resigned. That was the world news on Radio Afinju. To view our channel, please follow us on Facebook, X, and YouTube at Radio Afinju. My name is Pearl Durotoye. Thanks for listening. Good afternoon.
For up-to-date